Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the 2018 DSA Award ceremony, and this event is a very, very special one. I look forward to this event every year, and I say that every year, but it is very true. Because this event allows us to celebrate and honor those individuals that do the hard work behind the scenes without seeking the spotlight. At a synagogue, volunteering is critically important. We simply do not have the staff or the resources to do all the teaching and provide all the services we do without help from our congregation. Today, with the advent of social media, it seems that every good deed is advertised online for likes and shares. But what about doing good deeds just because you should? These individuals do just that, volunteering with an openness that asks for nothing in return. But returns do come to these individuals in unanticipated ways. For volunteering enriches your own life without that being your intention. These honorees appreciate that truth. Acts of kindness make us better people and leave the world a little bit better place than the one we found. And there is so much joy and satisfaction in just that. The two honorees this year are fantastic. I have a way of thinking of people, maybe you do too, where I place certain people in a special category all to themselves, because I can never fathom them ever doing anything intentionally unkind, ever. Phil and Dave are just like that. They are, and this is the joke part, a living embodiment of the Talmudic adage, good Jews come in all sizes. So, we will now begin. I want to do a little bit about Phil. Phil, his wife Lonnie, and children Rebecca and Jonathan first joined Bethel in 1999. Why was Phil selected to win this award? Well, since Phil is such an accomplished lawyer, I thought I would do it the way that I'm most accustomed. May it please the rabbis, members of the congregation. I am here before you today to argue why, by a preponderance of the evidence, Phil Schultz warrants a DSA award. While such arguments generally do not extend to employment because a service award is generally associated with just giving, it is important to begin by noting that Phil has been a great servant of the citizens of the state of Connecticut. Phil is a lawyer, as I said, and he's a very good one. After graduating from Brandeis, he attended UConn Law School. Since the early 90s, he's been associated with the Office of the Connecticut Attorney General. Phil manages a department of 14 attorneys. Shortly after joining Bethel about 20 years ago, realizing what they had, Phil was elected co-president of the Men's Club, serving from 2002 to 2005. Phil improved programming and publicity for the monthly breakfast and coordinated programs with the Religious School, USY, Sisterhood, and the High Society. In addition, the Men's Club then became affiliated with the Federation of Jewish Men's Club and adopted Federation programs like Worldwide Wrap to Fill-In Program, Yom HaShoach Yellow Candle Program, the proceeds of which are donated annually to the Camp Ramah Scholarship Fund. In fact, Phil, together with other Men's Club members, instituted this very DSA award to recognize the contributions of exemplary congregants. While serving as co-president, Phil was an auxiliary representative to the Temple's Board of Trustees. In 2005, Phil was selected as a Keeper of the Flame at Connecticut Valley Region FJMC's Keeper of the Flame Luncheon. Phil remains active in Men's Club affairs, serving first as vice president, later as vice president and FJMC liaison, during which time he participated on the chapter's Constitution and Bylaws Committee, Banquet Committee, Quality Committee, and the Torch Award Submission Committee. For several years, Phil chaired the Yom HaShoach Yellow Candle and Wordwall Tefillin committees. He has served on the Temple's Nominating and Search Committee. From 2009 to 11, Phil served as president of the Connecticut Valley Region Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs during his association. Phil also served on the International Board of Directors for 6 years and served a 2-year term as director of Merkaz USA, the Zionist organization of the conservative movement. Phil attended 4 FJMC conventions, the last of which he received the Ma'asim Tovim Award for dedicated service. And if that was not enough, Phil is also on the pension and retirement committees for the town of Simsbury, Connecticut. The evidence is uncontrovertible. I hope you agree that the award is a most appropriate vesting in Phil Schultz. Now to Dave Diamond. Dave, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, because I'm not sure everyone knows this. Raise your hand not now, not yet. Every time I say a title of a Bruce Springsteen song. Because if you don't know it, Dave is a huge big Springsteen fan. Even after tragically learning at an early age that the boss is in fact not a member of the tribe. Not Springsteen. But here we go. So, you ready, Dave? Dave is born in the USA. Good. As if you couldn't tell from his accent. Back in his glory days, Dave graduated from Binghamton University with degrees in economics and math. He is a fellow of the Society of Actuaries and an enrolled actuary. And forgive me, Dave, I can't help but doing this. This doesn't count for my jokes later. But does everyone know what an actuary is? Okay. So if those of you don't know, an actuary was someone who always wanted to be an accountant but didn't have the personality for it. All right. Here's the other actuary joke. What's the difference between an introverted actuary and an extroverted actuary? So an introverted actuary stares at his own shoes when he talks to you. An extroverted actuary stares at your shoes. The reason why I could tell those jokes is because Dave is far from introverted, and certainly has a lot of personality. Dave became active in the men's club upon first joining Bethel, but he was born to run it. Oh, there he goes. First serving as president for 3 years from 2006 to 2009. During his presidency, Dave increased the visibility of Men's Club with more programming and collaborations with other arms of the temple. Dave never insists on standing in the spotlight and getting the accolades he deserves. So rather than being blinded by the light, Dave is usually just dancing in the dark. This is our time to shine a light on Dave. So now I'm going down. I'm going down. That's a song. All his accomplishments. Dave has increased membership and overseen all men's club program activities. He recently returned as co-president in 2017. He has been involved in over 400 men's club activities and has helped make it one of the most active men's clubs in the world. He was recognized by the Connecticut Valley region of the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs as the Bethel Men's Club 2001 Keeper of the Flame. Man, Dave, you are on fire. One of Dave's most significant accomplishments was bringing the Tortoise Schul's bicycle fundraiser to Greater Hartford. This event raises money to provide special need Jewish campers a meaningful summer camping experience. Dave served on the board of trustees of Bethel from 2006 to 2013 and again in 2017. He served on the membership and nominating committees. His volunteering activities is not limited to Bethel. He joined the board of the Jewish Historical Society of Greater Hartford in 2017 and serves on its programming committee. Dave is a longtime board member of the Carriage Club, a private swim and tennis club in Avon. He served as treasurer for 2 years, helped develop and manage the club's website, handled lifeguard payroll, and the organization's tax filing for the past 15 years. Busy fella. Dave previously served 4 years on the board of the Actuaries Club, boy, that sounds fun, where he helped plan professional development meetings. Dave also served 2 years as its treasurer. Dave and his wife Sheila have 2 children, Mara 25, Andrew 22. And with everything he does, Dave provides that special human touch because Dave is a total mensch. Dave, we are here because the night belongs to us. All right. So I think everyone knows that it's been a tradition, at least for me, since I've started doing this about 3 or 4 years ago, that I tell 10 jokes during the course of the evening. And I haven't repeated a joke, I promise. But it gets harder and harder every year to tell 10 jokes that you can get away with telling where it doesn't cause too much harm. And my wife will still talk to me tomorrow. So it's funny, I'm doing a Google search trying to find or help me find 10 jokes. And I just thought this was classic. So there's a website and it popped up old Jewish jokes. So I click on the website and it was actually an advertisement for a play that's playing right now, Marcy can attest to it, in London. And it was performed by a gentleman named Ivor Dembina. And this is what it says about the play. Old Jewish Jokes tells the story of a man invited to perform at a synagogue benefit function. But upon arrival at the venue for the show, he is given a shopping list of subjects he must not joke about. In old Jewish jokes, we enjoy the predicament of a man being censored by his very own community. It is a fun, revealing, and truthful story which also provides an excellent opportunity to hear once again some of the world's favorite old Jewish jokes. So I apparently am not alone in this predicament, but we'll give it a try. Here's joke 1 and 2. So a poor man is this is joke 1. A poor man is walking into the forest, feeling close to God, and he asks God, "God, what is 1,000,000 years like to you?" And God replies, "My son, 1,000,000 years to you is like just a second to me." And the man asks, "Well then, God, what is $1,000,000 to you?" And God replies, "My son, $1,000,000 to you is like less than a cent to me. It's nothing." The man thinks for a second and says, "So God, then could I have $1,000,000? And God says, "In a second." All right, joke number 2. We'll use Dave's name here. Dave is moving into a new home, and his wife convinces him to let his brother-in-law help. Now, his brother-in-law is not the brightest bulb in the bag. But Dave finally, this is a joke, it's just using the name. I'm not talking about anyone's specific family members. Dave finally relents and gives his brother-in-law what he thinks is an easy job, to hang up the mezuzahs. He shows them exactly how they're done, on the angle, and he comes back a few hours later, and lo and behold, the mezuzahs are all up correctly. So Dave admits it to his wife and to his brother-in-law and everyone. He says, "I was wrong to doubt you. You've done a great job." And the brother-in-law looks at him with pride and says, "Not only did I hang them up, I opened each up and took out the warranties." All right. Okay. With that, I will call on Eli Simon. Eli, are you around? So Eli is going to come up, and Eli, I think your bread is here. I know it looks like you have a piece of bread in your hand, but Eli Simon is going to do the motzi.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המוציא לחם מן הארץ.
Excellent. And now I have the pleasure of inviting up our wonderful, super duper Rabbi Rosen, to say a few words.
I have to track down that Talmudic reference, Jonathan. I'm not so sure about it, but okay, we'll see if it exists. Good evening, everyone. And if you would just do us the favor right at the outset this evening to extend our deep, deep gratitude for all who have been responsible for working so very, very hard, first to make sure that this dinner and this celebration could come to be. Thank you all so much, those who have worked to make it happen. Jacob and Bruce and others. And right at the outset, if you would also extend your additional welcome to our esteemed Lieutenant Governor Wyman. Thank you for being with us. I know I have the wrong musical reference here, but how deep is their love? There is nothing more moving than seeing individuals who pour themselves into a sense of absolute and total devotion. We live at a time in which there is a lot of deep, deep mourning over the loss of volunteerism, a sense that that's something of a bygone era, and I would say to them, let them come to Bethel, let them come to our men's club, let them see the kind of work and the kind of devotion that takes place here, and nobody exemplifies it more than Phil and Dave. We are indeed in debt to you. We have just concluded the season of changes with Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and now, except for the 83-degree temperatures today, if we look about ourselves, we are greeting the change of seasons. One thing in this world remains constant, and that is the power of devotion and commitment to values that are ongoing, to Jewish values in particular. For our gathering this evening, that is what makes us who we are as a community, and what a blessing it is to honor Phil and Dave for all of your years and years of remarkable devotion to our men's club and to all that has taken place here. I will not go into any repetition of the myriad details that our president has provided for us, but rather just to say, you two epitomize the Moses approach to leadership. You can run, but you can't hide. It is something that has in a way, pursued you, your sense of needing to respond to an inner calling. And what is remarkable about Phil and Dave and so many within our men's club, it is not about counting heads at a program. It is about the depth of the impact of a program, of a relationship, of a commitment on any number of lives or even a few lives, even an individual soul. That is the power of their commitment. And it's not only that they are in planning committees and they do all of this work, they also make it their business to be in the kitchen, cutting up the bagels and making sure that every last little nitty-gritty detail is taken care of, putting out the chairs, sweeping the floors if necessary. There is nothing that is foreign to their involvement. And as such, we are indeed blessed to have you as our true honorees and leaders in so many ways this evening. And I just want to take a moment to offer our words of deep and abiding love to Honey Sue as we recall Joe this evening as well. It is true in this world that there is absence that is palpable as a presence, and presence that is sometimes palpable as an absence. But truly, Joe's experience on this earth and his involvement, his loving, deep involvement in so many avenues of this congregation and in Men's Club, we picture him in every corner of this building, each and every time we walk within it. He has been a blessing to us, Honey Sue, as you have been, and in so many ways, he is our honoree this evening as well, that we offer with our deep and abiding love for you and for memories of Joe. Thank you, everyone, so very much.
Okay. So, as Rabbi Rosen said, we are especially honored today by having Nancy Wyman here. Nancy was born to a Jewish family and grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where her father worked as an accountant and supplemented the family's income by delivering the New York Daily News every day. She earned an associate degree in radiological technology from Long Island College Hospital. I don't know if people knew this. I certainly didn't until I did some research on her to know that she was an X-ray technician. She began her career in public service as vice chairperson of the Tallinn Board of Education. She served in this post for 4 years, but was on the board serving in other roles for an additional 5 years. In 1986, she was elected as the state representative from the 53rd District of Connecticut, serving in that capacity from 1987 to 1995. And I think everyone knows she is currently the 88th Lieutenant Governor of the state of Connecticut and President of the Senate. She has been awarded the Public Leadership Award in the arts for state arts leadership, among so many other awards. And frankly, it would take forever for me to go through all her accomplishments, which are extraordinary. I'll stop soon. But one more thing, because this is my favorite part. I'm leading to the culmination. On the final night of Connecticut's legislative session this year, the legislators put all the business of the state on pause for a goodbye to Lieutenant Governor Wyman. She is not seeking re-election. Lawmakers gave Nancy Wyman a bipartisan standing ovation in recognition of her years of service. Bipartisan. How nice is that? Everyone recognizing how much of a service this lady has given to our state. And this is the quote she gave afterwards, and this is where I'm ending. Quote, "As all of you know, my grandchildren live in this state. So while I may be stepping out of politics, if you mess up this state, this Jewish grandmother is coming after you."
You know what? You're right. And if anybody wants to run for governor or anything else right now, do it. But do me a favor. Just remember, I'm going to be watching over you. You know, I thank you so much for having me today. And President Walter, thank you. I wish you were president. That's my side joke. What can I tell you? I'm not going to go into that stuff. I'm really not. You told me not to, right? Okay. I won't. Rabbi, it's wonderful to see you. Your rabbi is a very, very special person to me because he's involved in so many things of goodness to all people, not only in the Jewish community, but throughout the state. And I thank you for your leadership. You've been wonderful. God bless you. And I know that, I wasn't the first to be invited, but that's okay. I understand George Epson was first, and it's okay, because he's the Attorney General, and he can do a hell of a lot more than Lieutenant Governor can. But I wore my highest heels, so I look like George. And I thank all of you and the Men's Club for having this on this 15th anniversary. I truly appreciate it, allowing me to come today. And before I start anything about the recipients, I want to start by two things. One, I will not tell 10 jokes like President Alder. But I was telling people today, I thought about my grandfather, may he rest in peace, and a story that happened when I was younger. We did live in Brooklyn, New York. My grandparents lived on the first floor, my parents lived on the second floor, and every time you have to go down the back staircase, my grandmother would know when I was doing it, which is not always a good thing, but I won't tell you all her wording. But I will tell you about my sister and I. My sister's 7 years older than I am, and we're built a little bit differently. But we went out shopping together, and so the two of us, of course, in New York, you had to go to a certain place because it was a manufacturer that happened to be Jewish, and you go there. And you say, you're Dave Rosenzweig's granddaughters. I said, okay. So my sister and I went. We bought a leather jacket. Each of us bought leather jackets. It was the exact same leather jacket. We come home, and there's Grandpa sitting in the kitchen. He says, so, what's new? We said, Grandpa, we bought the jackets. And I said, we want to show it to you. So we go in, we put the jackets on, we go into the kitchen to show it to him, and he said, very nice. So, Linda, how much did you pay? Because my sister's 7 years older. How much did you pay for your jacket? And she said, maybe $40. Nancy, what did you pay for your jacket? I said, $40. He said, your sister got a better deal. Nothing changes in my world. And my sister is a very smart lady, and no wonder why she got a better deal. Okay, before I really begin thanking the recipients and talking to you, I looked the other day, today in fact, about what was on like your Facebook, whatever that is. I don't know anything about Facebook or tweets or any of that stuff, but I looked on the web page, and I want to tell you a statement that I wish all organizations and all leaders would read today and every day, and I'm going to read it to you. Bethel remains true to its roots, a diverse, family-friendly community embracing people of all ages and backgrounds, Jews and their non-Jewish partners, and people of all sexual orientation, genders, and sexual identities. And then it goes on to your mission. Our mission and vision come from nearly a year of conversations with members of all of your congregation, your board of trustees, and other professional staff. And it says, today and tomorrow, our goal is to build a community and deepen personal engagement through learning, caring, and spirit. I got to tell you, these statements is what it's really about. What this world should be about, this state should be about, and your community is about. At a time when our society and country seems to be so divided, we must come together for the good of everybody. Those of you might not know or think it possible that I started politics 40 years ago. And I was able to vote. In fact, I already had kids, and so it was a long time ago. But when I started out, besides being on the Board of Education and then being a state representative, I will tell you that the Republicans and the Democrats worked together. I was very happy to have had friends on both sides of the aisle. So I will tell you that I started out as the vice chairman of the Education Committee in the Capitol. My leader, the chairman of the Education Committee, was a woman named Naomi Cohn. Yeah, Michael's here, I know that, so I had to tell the story about that. But what I learned from Naomi, and I learned from other people, is we work together. We might not agree on things. So Naomi, who was truly one of my leaders and one of the people that put me and gave me that leap to become leader, and she did. She and a woman named Jana Polinsky, and may she rest in peace. And don't, just because Naomi's not here, Michael, don't tell her I forgot about her, okay? But when I became chairman of the Education Committee, the ranking member, of course, was a Republican. And they were lawyers, and I'm not. And when we would sit down to discuss bills, they didn't always agree with the bill, and I don't always agree with their point of view. But I will tell you that throughout my lifetime as a politician, I had gained so many friends on the other side of the aisle. Because you know what? They helped out. They'd come to me and say, you know, Nancy, I'm not going to vote for the bill. And I said, okay, but how's it written? And they say, here's how we change it to make it the best bill we can get out. But Nancy, I'm not going to vote for the bill. I said, I know that. Just help me get it right. And we would work together. And the day that the bill was coming out on the floor of the House, I'd go over to my friends and say, it's coming out today. And they say, okay, here's what I'm going to say. And I'd say, okay, here's what I'm going to say. And we did. So we got up on the floor of the House, and they would say one thing, I would say something else, and then we'd go out for a drink. Because, and not really drink, Manischewitz, of course. No. But the truth is that we work together to get things right. What's going on now is not what we think of America. This is not what we think of Connecticut. This is not what we think about our local towns or any place else. It didn't matter what party you were part of, because at the end of the day, we were working for the good of our people, not the good of our party. This mentality of them versus us will get our country nowhere. Only working with people in your party will get nothing accomplished. If I could ask anything for our future, I really wish we can learn to work together. I'm asking you, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, I don't care what you are. I ask you to please make sure your voices are heard, that you speak out on what you believe in. Because you know what? It's not just election day that's important, that the legislature or the governor or the president or anybody else that's being elected should be listening to you. That should be asking you for things. It's every day that they're serving. I will tell you that as a state representative, if I got 5 phone calls that said, hey, we don't like this, and I was going to vote for it, I'd be scared to lose my election. And you know what? It shouldn't be. You still should speak out for what you think the people of your district that you care about. So I know this is like lecturing, and I apologize. Not much, but I apologize. But what you can bring to our communities, what you can bring to every place you live is voices. And maybe it's not yours, but when you speak to your children or your grandchildren, bring out to them. I will tell you that I have, one of my grandsons is now 12 years old, and he was over one day, and he sat with me and he said, I said, Max, because Max is very verbal. I said, hey, so Max, how's school going? Grandma, fine. Oh my God. And then he said, I said, well, how's soccer, Max? You must love soccer, right? And I know you do. How's it going? He said, fine, Grandma, the team's good. Dead silence. You want to know what makes a grandmother nervous? That you're not talking. So I said, Max, what's going on? He said, Grandma, can we really talk? Well, I have to tell you, I only have 2 daughters. And if my grandson is now going to ask me about sex, I don't know what to say to him. And I said, Max, we can talk about anything you want. But the perspiration was dripping, I will tell you. But he talked about situations that he was really concerned about in the world. And I'm not going to go through all of it. Of course, I was very proud of him because he came out and said, we are all one people, and we have to work for each other. And I went, yes! But I won't tell you what it's about after that. But it's true, is that we have to talk to our children and our grandchildren and talk about what the future's about and let them talk to us about it. And again, I do thank you for coming here, because I think the 2 men that you are recognizing tonight, when I look at their resumes, you gotta be proud. I can't believe that you're retired. So just tell me, what's retirement like, David? And Phil, I just want to know, because I've got at least 94 days, and then I'm retired, and I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. I didn't know what you guys are going to do. But, you know, I would like personally to thank David and Phil for receiving, and congratulate them for receiving this award. I kind of heard some wonderful stories, and I won't talk about not so wonderful, no, I'm just kidding, about wonderful stories about all of you. You know what? You get recognized for doing what you truly believe is right. You stand up, speak out, do what's right. I wasn't going to do a whole speech on what the Attorney General's office should do. I wasn't going to ask you what the Controller's office should have done as an actuary, because we probably didn't do it right anyway, so it's okay. As most of you know, I was also a controller before this. I should have kept that job. No, to be honest with you, I should have kept the job as an X-ray technician. I've been making more money and people would like me more, too. It's okay. But to you and your families, the honorees tonight, you should be very proud of your accomplishment, because I know I'm proud of them. To build up our community, to build up our state, our community, but to build up this synagogue and work so hard. We are, as Jews, our population is shrinking and not increasing. And so we have to continually speak out, I believe, for our religion, our background, to making people understand that we are a united front, that we are people that want to work together with others. We've got to make our state, our towns, our state, our country a better state. And with the 2 of you, I thank you for doing what you've done. And I will say it's Sue, right? I want to say to you, I heard such wonderful, wonderful stories about your husband and what a wonderful, wonderful man he was. So I give you my condolences, but I wish I had met him. And just keep up. Remember, we have to remember the words that he's given to all of us as we remember other people's words in our families and our loved ones, to continue to push for freedoms for all people, for respect for all people. Mazel tov to the 2 honorees. You didn't think I was going to speak any Yiddish, did you? That's about it for me, guys. All right, listen, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you so much to the Lieutenant Governor. And it's a wonderful segue into a moment in the festivities this evening where we could talk a little bit about Joe Springer. I miss Joe Springer every time I'm in the synagogue, and Rabbi Rosen said it very, very well. His presence is still here. It's just, he was such a joy. You never ran into him without him walking over to you, and he smiled, and he told a little joke, and he patted you on the back. He was just a wonderful, wonderful man, and he's missed so terribly. I now turn it over to Sharon. Are you here somewhere, Sharon Levine-Shine? Terrific to talk about Joe. Sharon.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say mazel tov to David Diamond and Phil Schultz for an honor well deserved for years of service to Bethel and making Men's Club one of the arms of the temple. Thank you all. Thank you for all that you both do, and also without Sheila and Lonnie, you could not do it. So thank you, Sheila and Lonnie. Before I talk about Joe, I just want to tell you that Joe was supposed to be honored last year, but he was too sick. The death of a good friend is a loss that many of us will face, and we have with our good friend Joe Springer. Friendship is one of life's greatest treasures. Friends that are loyal are always there to make you laugh, and they look out for your best interest. That was Joe. This kind of friend can be hard to find, but they offer a friendship that will last a lifetime. Joe and Honey Sue are part of our family, coming to our house for high holidays, dinners, celebrating family birthdays with us, going away to their timeshare together and having a great time, spending time in Aruba together. My mom had Alzheimer's, but she always knew Joe when he came to the house and spent time with her. He brightened her day. When Bruce and I started going south, Joe was the house sitter, along with Honey Sue, and a very good one. Joe and Bruce would go to financial seminars all the time. I'm not sure if it was to learn about stocks or getting the free dinner. But they didn't miss too many of them. Celebrating 4th of July and going to Middletown to see the fireworks was fun. Except one year, driving down Main Street in Middletown, Joe wanted to make his own lane, driving to get out of the traffic. And all of a sudden, the shamus pulled us over. Okay, Joe, get out of this one. And he did. What a talker. Joe also would fill in for me delivering Meals on Wheels along with Honey Sue. I can go on and on about Joe and all the fun we had and cherish all the great memories we have. And we will continue to be with Honey Sue. Love you, Joe.
And now I'd like to call upon the co-president of Men's Club, Steve Rapp.
Thank you. I want to take a few minutes to remember a longtime Bethel Men's Club board member whom we lost last November, our friend Joe Springett, who served in the Men's Club board for more than a decade. He was one of the first points of contact anyone had when attending a Men's Club function because he took the RSVPs. He helped in the kitchen, he called in food orders to the Crown, and he assisted with Sunday breakfast preparations. His official title was VP Hospitality and Assistant Treasurer, backing up Treasurer Bruce Sheen and Assistant Treasurer Dave Clow when they were in Florida for the winter. I'm told he used to refer to himself in self-deprecating style as the assistant to the assistant treasurer, because he was known for his good sense of humor. Joe was a lifelong Yankees fan, which is something I forgive him for, because he redeemed himself in so many other ways. Beyond his contributions to Men's Club, Joe actively gave back to the community, volunteering with Loaves and Fishes and Meals on Wheels. He was a member of the Lions Club, and he gave free eye exams for Head Start in Naugatuck. Joe exemplified the attributes of a DSA honoree. We wanted to give him a DSA award while he was alive, but due to failing health, he demurred. So it's with a sense of sadness for our loss and deep appreciation for his contributions that I present this plaque to his wife, Honey Sue. It reads, "He who engaged in the needs of the community, it was as if he fulfilled the entire Torah. Jerusalem Talmud. The Men's Club of Beth El Temple presents this Distinguished Service Award in memory of Dr. Joseph Springcutt, ZL, for his many years of devoted service to Beth El Temple and the Men's Club, October 7th, 2018, 29 Tishri, 5779.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you for the beautiful plaque. If I'm not mistaken, Joey was offered this tribute, and Joey, being Joey, always turned it down. Joey liked to work behind the scenes to help out with no attention to himself. I'm really happy the Men's Club honored Joey. And thank you so much for everybody. I really appreciate this.
Terrific. Thank you.
Can I just leave this here? Can I just leave this here?
Yeah, put it in the box and we can get it after dinner.
All right, so we're, before we break for a short break for dinner, unfortunately, I'm up to jokes, I think, 3 and 4. 3, okay, joke 3. An archaeologist, let's say, let's make up a name for him, let's say Dr. Freund, just popped into my head, is digging in the Negev desert in Israel and comes upon a casket containing a mummy. And after examining it, he calls the curator of a prestigious natural history museum, saying, "I've discovered a 3,000-year-old mummy of a man who died of a heart attack." The excited scientist, Dr. Freund, explains. To which the curator replies, "Bring him in, we'll check it out." A week later, the amazed curator calls Dr. Freund and says, "You were right about the mummy's age and cause of death, but how in the world did you know how he died?" And he said, "Well, that's easy. There's a small piece of parchment in his hand that says, 'I have 10,000 shekels on Goliath.'" Okay, all right. Okay, joke number 4. This is a quick one. I think this is just such a Jewish joke that I like it. We'll give this guy a very Jewish name. Chaim is driving down the street in a sweat because he's got an important meeting. He can't find a parking space. It's a big job application that he's got going. He wants to get ready for the interview. So he looks up to heaven and he says, "God, please, please, if you find me a parking space, I'll go to shul on Saturday. I'll be a good Jew. I'll give up gambling. I'll do everything good. Please, please." And then all of a sudden, a parking space opens up right in front of him. So Chaim looks up at God and says, "Never mind, I found one." Enjoy your dinner, everybody. So I think we're up to, I heard Gary Jones call out, we're up to joke 5? 5? Okay. All right, here we go. A couple is celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary at the temple. And the rabbi asked Morris to take a few minutes and share some insights on how he managed to stay married for all those years. So Morris replies to the audience, "Well, mostly I took her traveling on special occasions." So the rabbi inquires further, like, "Where did you take her?" He says, "Well, on our 25th anniversary, I took her to Beijing." The rabbi then says, "What a terrific example you are to husbands, Morris. Tell the audience what you're going to do now for your 50th wedding anniversary." He says, "I don't know, I guess I'll go get her." Okay. Joke number 6. All right. A Catholic priest, here we go, is talking to a rabbi and finally gets the nerve to ask him a question he's been dying to ask him for a long time. He says, "When are you going to give up that antiquated custom and eat a delicious piece of bacon?" And the rabbi says to him, "At your wedding." Okay. Whoa. Okay. right, if you think that was bad, here's alternative ending for the joke. The rabbi responds, "Before you became a priest, did you ever spend any time with a woman?" "Yes," says the priest, and the rabbi says, "It's a lot better than bacon, right?"
I missed it. I missed it. That's because you bought your tickets right after.
Alrighty, now we're going to start off with a couple of small presentations on behalf of, first we're going to start off with a couple regarding Dave, then Marty and Steve are going to talk about both individuals, and then we're going to go to Phil. So we'll begin with if you want to welcome Sheila Diamond, who will talk about David, her husband.
Thank you, Jonathan. So good evening, everybody. First, I just want to, do I have to lower this? Can you hear me? I want to congratulate Phil. You are a tireless supporter of the men's club, often in the background, and this is so well-deserved. So congrats. So now, back to Dave Diamond. So I often call Dave Diamond because so many of my friends have Daves in their lives. And even at this temple, I don't want to confuse him with David Rosenthal, David Brandwine, David Hoff, David Silvers. I mean, it goes on and on. But for me, David, you shine the brightest. Your kindness and good nature are obvious to everyone who knows you. And it's one of the reasons I love you. And I'm not surprised that you're being honored tonight. You certainly deserve it. You love being Jewish, you love being part of the tribe, you love being part of the community, and you're a member of lots of communities, which I'll get into. You help out whenever you can, and it usually involves your math skills, which is good. I always say stay with what you know. You love belonging to a place where everybody knows your name. And so many people have your name, so we joined Bethel a long time ago when the kids were very, very young. Dave started out attending the men's club breakfast, and not too soon after you became president. And your presidency was really noted for all of your collaborations and programs, and your ability to connect with other people really enhanced the camaraderie with the programs and the temple, and I always was very proud of you for that. And so you were president, you encouraged me to become involved, and I joined Sisterhood. Eventually I became president, and we've been very active since. Not only were you active at Bethel, you are active, you volunteer at the Carriage Club, the Actuary Society, the Jewish Historical Society, the Seniors Job Bank where I work, but you sort of have no choice with that one. And so you help out really wherever you can. I just wanted to add a final note. We have a friend who you're gonna know who I'm talking about. He wasn't able to be here tonight, but he always said to me that if he were ever in a foxhole, he wanted Dave Diamond with him. And it's not because of Dave's expertise in firearms. He always said that Dave was a really true and loyal friend. And it's true, and it's another reason why we love you. And so thank you for all you do for your family, for your friends, for Bethel, the community. We're so proud of you, and we love you. I keep saying that.
If you want to
So,
introduce it, go ahead.
My son couldn't be here tonight. My daughter is here, Mara, sitting next to Dave. But my son couldn't be here. He's studying in California, but he did make a video to send his greetings to his dad and for all of you. So I just want to preface it by saying he and his friend who made the video were sober when they made the video.
This was not reviewed by legal.
Right. So, thank you, Bruce.
There's a guy who's near and dear to my my heart. And I'm so sad I'm in LA and we're apart. He ain't no fool, he brought us tortoise. He's a good Jew, his favorite plays Fiddler on the Roof. Hey! He loves Bethel and has a ball. From the sanctuary to Kessler Hall. He's a lovable man, his presence is grand. What would we do without him, oy vey? He'll be a mensch for the rest of his days. Dad, we love you. Hit it, Rob.
Well, congrats to the man, Mr. Diamond. You're at the top now, and of course, you're shining. A wonderful, nice Jewish man from Long Island. I know when I'm singing this song, you'll be smiling. Now, let's talk about the man of the hour. As tall as a tree and as beautiful as a flower. He's co-president of the men's club, you know. He helps bring great things to the Temple Faux Show.
You make everyone's heart feel aglow. You're the best actuary I know. When you're not here, I am bluish. You make me proud to be Jewish. You're a gift from above, the man everyone loves. You always do mitzvahs and give everyone a hand, and we love you more than you love salmon. To tell you how I feel, I'm trying. We're talking about you, Dave Diamond. We love you, Dave Diamond. We love you, Dave. Dave. We love you. We love you. We're proud of you. We love you. We love you.
We love you.
Okay, now, I don't know how anyone is going to follow this, but if there's someone that's going to follow this, it could be Dr. Freud. So, Professor Freud, good luck. I don't know if you have a song or something, but oh, Elian's going to do it. Okay, Elian.
What an honor for me to add my voice to the Mazel Tov chorus tonight. David Diamond and Phil Schultz, I can't think of more deserving men in our midst. And Joe Springut, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory always be for a blessing, are the type of men who week in, week out, year always ask, what can I do for my temple? And never, what can my temple do for me? And all also have the distinction of having amazing, supportive families. There is no such thing as, in my opinion, successful men without the love and support of very devoted families. So thank you, families in the background, what I call backstage wealth, for supporting these men as you do. Also week in, week out, year in and year out. I'm now going to turn my remarks to Dave. Dave and I, unbeknownst to many of you, share a quirk, a personality quirk. We feel the need, and always have, even as children, to always be the last to leave a function. So it was bashert early on when Richard and I, my husband and I, joined Bethel Temple, that Dave and I would become fast friends, because we often find ourselves at the end of functions, I think second only to the custodial staff, right?
But we've talked a lot about this, and much to the frustration of our spouses who are very supportive about this work, we've discussed the idea that we do this because we have the need to make sure that everyone leaves the building safely. And if anyone has the need to speak to a sympathetic member, we feel we have to be that sympathetic member, whether it's to share some temple insight or personal. We feel we need to be those people for them. So over the years, I've had amazing dialogues myself with Dave. And as a result, we've been able to come up with amazing programming ideas. And I thank you, because if not for that quirk that we share, I don't think some of our most successful programs here at Bethel would have ever taken place. So thank you, and I wish you both many, many happy, healthy years in your efforts here to make Bethel the special place that it is.
Thank you. Okay, we are, what are we up to? 7. Okay, 7. So Kornblum is lying on the operating table, and he's about to be operated by his doctor's son, David, the surgeon. The nurse asks him while he's lying there, "You must be nervous. Something might go wrong. Your son is operating on you." Kornblum says, "I'm not nervous at all." And he turns to David and says, "Son, think of this way. If anything happens to me, your mother is coming to live with you." Okay. Joke number 8. A CNN journalist heard about a very old Jewish man who's been going to the Western Wall to pray twice a day, every day, for an extraordinarily long time. So she decides she's going to check it out. So she goes to the Western Wall, walks slowly up to the holy site, and she watches him pray for about 45 minutes. When she turns to leave, the man's using his cane, moving slowly. She approaches him, and she says, "Pardon me, sir. I'm from CNN. What's your name?" He says, "My name is Morris Feinberg." "Sir, how long you been coming to the Western Wall to pray?" "I've been coming for about 60 years, he says. 60 years? That's amazing. What do you pray for when you're here? He says, "I pray for peace between all people. I pray that wars and terrorism and hatred stop. I pray that children can live safely in our world. I pray that politicians tell us the truth and put their interests behind the interests of the people. And I pray that people are kind." And the person says, how do you feel after doing this for 60 years? She says, "I feel like I'm talking to a wall." Okay. We're now going to hear from Marty Melnick, who has been very involved with Men's Club. And Marty, I believe, will be speaking about both honorees tonight. And then that'll be followed by Steve Rapp. Marty?
Welcome, everybody. So good to see this great attendance tonight. And I also want to make a comment to our honoree, the jokes and what you're doing and how you're keeping on track. You do such a wonderful job. I wanted to just put that out. So this is all about volunteers and honoring volunteers. And the men we're looking at tonight are just absolutely phenomenal for what they do. But, when we talk about volunteers, sometimes people think they're just too small to make a difference. And if you think you're too small, just spend one night with a mosquito. So, Phil and Dave are the two Men's Club leaders most deserving of this recognition. And, they are both so extremely modest. They're so modest that we spent months working with them and twisting their arms, trying to get them to just be recognized. And, so I just want to say that if you have any doctor bills from all that arm twisting, turn them over to Bruce Sheen, but you better have documentation or he won't pay it. All right, so Phil, you're up first. And Phil has brought a unique skill set for the benefit of the Men's Club. Phil sits quietly in meetings and then comes up with a golden nugget that everybody agrees with. Phil's intellect has helped guide and direct the growth of achievements that we have all been able to accomplish. Phil's writing and wordsmithing and editing skills are superb. We call on you all the time for that. He has been called on countless times to be the face of the men's club in our men's club communication, and he's done it willingly and willingly commits to do it and help us without any questions. After you were club president, you went on to serve the Connecticut Valley as the president of Connecticut Valley, and as you continue to serve and support the region to this day. When leadership asks for a volunteer to take on an assignment to meet, there's always a pause in a room, and after a long, prolonged period of silence, we hear Phil say, "Okay, I'll get it done." And that is such a special talent, and such a special thing, because so few volunteers are willing to step up and say, "I will actually get it done." Phil has been called upon to help the FJMC international committees because of his leadership skills. I need to share something very special. For the last 5 years plus, Phil and his father Marty have come to the FJMC, the New England retreat. And what is really very, very special is on Friday night, we asked there's usually 3 or 4 fathers and sons at the retreat out of 100 men. And so we asked them to stand up, and we asked the fathers to give the blessings over the sons. And all I can say is it's just so special to see this wonderful relationship and bond the two of you have with each other. So now I want to talk a little bit, before I say that, I did want to say, Delani, thank you so very much for permitting Phil to give us his time and his expertise and help. Without you, it couldn't have happened. So thank you. So I can't really say Dave. I guess I have to say David Diamond. So David Diamond, and Phil, they have been such great friends of mine, ever since I got involved with Men's Club. And I only got involved with Men's Club because of Dave's leadership skills. When he was coming on to become president, he was looking for a vice president, and he asked me to be his vice president, assuming I would take over later on. What'd you get me into? So all these many years later, we've been doing so much collaboration together. It's all because of you. So Dave served as Men's Club president, is now serving a second time around, helping to find new leadership. Dave is best known for his synagogue-wide programming. Dave took a new approach to programming, and that was to be collaborative. Dave was one of the few Men's Club leaders to do this internationally. Dave does not work in a silo. He has his greatest achievements working with Rabbi Rosen, Garber, Sawalski, and with the school with Rabbi Rosenbaum, and now with Rabbi Garber, and with our auxiliaries, the Sisterhood, the Women's Connection, the High Society, with the energetic Raj Rockland, the Library Committee, the Israeli Engagement Committee, and he's setting up sports and religious programming with other men's clubs in the region. His vision and his approach is unique, and it has so benefited this Bethel community. Thank you, Dave. Okay, the highest recognition for programming is the Torch Awards. And the Torch Awards, every 2 years, is issued by the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs. It takes hours to document and detail these programs for consideration to have, in the amount of time you need to put in for these applications. Due to Dave's collaboration and broad range of programming, we have won awards at every international convention since 2009. At the point in this, culminating in receiving the highest honor in 2013, being awarded the Torch Award for the best men's club internationally. Thank you, Dave. Another international recognition for Men's Club is the Quality Club Award. And to qualify, each club internationally must meet about 25 benchmarks in different areas of programming and administration. Under Dave's leadership, the Bethel Men's Club has been recognized as achieving these standards for the past 11 years in a row. To put it in perspective, last year in the Connecticut Valley region, we were the only club to qualify. So, Phil and Dave, it has been my pleasure to serve with you and work with both of you. You have just two outstanding, wonderful leaders, and we're so lucky to have you.
Before I start, I just have to say I loved the video, but I'm not sure they were being straight with you when they said they were sober. This is the best part of the program because it's where I get to say a few words about Phil and Dave. And I have a unique perspective because I'm the only person who has served as a co-president with each of them, Phil in 2004 and Dave for the past year and a half. I have an insider's view, and now I get to spill the beans. They are workhorses, always ready to contribute, always ready to lead, always cheerful, never complaining. Whatever needs to get done, they're the first ones to volunteer and step up and do it. Phil's the guy who moved the club forward, bringing us into FJMC and adopting many of its programs, including the Worldwide Wrap, the Yom HaShoah Candle Program. He was instrumental in creating the Distinguished Service Award, which he's receiving tonight. Congratulations, Phil. Dave picked up the pace, increasing men's club programming significantly, collaborating with other men's clubs, and expanding the board. As a bike rider, I'm particularly appreciative of his leadership bringing Tour de Schools to Connecticut. Both Phil and Dave are recipients of FJMC's Keeper of the Flame Award. Both are tenacious leaders. I know. I've even seen them battle the federal bureaucracy. If you think the Kavanaugh proceedings were rough, you should try going with them to the main post office to ship 700 or 800 yellow candles. I've done it and it's not pretty. It's been a privilege to serve with Dave and Phil as co-president, and I'm proud to call them both my friends. Congratulations on receiving the Distinguished Service Award. It's well-deserved.
Where we talk a little bit more about Phil in depth. Elion or Richard? Richard is going to speak about it. So please welcome Dr. Richard Freund.
So we divided up the spoils, okay? So she got Dave Diveman, and I get you. So since we are at a synagogue, and we are at a time of the season, I thought it would be good to tell you a little Torah that you taught me. And a lot of people talk about Torah as if it's something that you have to be very erudite and you have to be studying it in Hebrew. I want to tell you just one piece of Torah that you taught me. And I thought about it last week as we were reading Bereshit. You know, the rabbis have a thing. I don't know if you know this is the thing, but you can take this away and you any place you go, you'll be able to do the thing. This is the thing. They're always trying to figure out why one verse of the Torah sits next to another verse of the Torah. So it's something that they puzzle over, and anytime you want to really get a rabbi's ire up, all you have to do is say, well, Rabbi, why is that next to that verse that's coming next? So I'll tell you about something that's in the Ten Commandments. And it's always been an extremely difficult thing for rabbis to figure out. We have in the fourth commandment the story of Shabbat. Why should we honor Shabbat? And then the commandment right after that, it says, Kabeda Tavicha. Honor your father and your mother. One of the things that I miss, that I'm not experiencing every week to week, is sitting with you and your dad after services, schmoozing. This is real teaching of Torah. The relationship that you enjoy with your father, and that I've had the experience also to spend that on the retreat with you. It's rare. We all wish we had that relationship. But it's a Torah piece that I learned from you, and it's something that I wanted everybody else to know. This is how we teach Torah, through our actions, not only through our words. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Dr. Freund. And now I'll call up Rebecca and Jonathan Schultz. This, I guess, is Jonathan.
Rebecca will come after. So for as long as I can remember, my father has been involved in life at Bethel. He took a liking to the men's club about 20 years ago when we moved to the area and has been a participating member ever since. His involvement continued as he became co-president and then went on to become president of the region a few years later. Growing up in our household, I was always involved at Bethel, from going to religious school, attending Shabbat and high holiday services, preparing for my bar mitzvah, and so on. My dad always encouraged me to participate in men's club programs, of course when they didn't conflict with religious school, but including numerous Sunday morning breakfasts with many interesting speakers. One specific program that had the biggest effect on me was the Worldwide Wrap. I remember going with my dad on Super Bowl Sunday to put on tefillin and have a quick service. It really stuck with me because putting on tefillin always reminded me of the great memories that I had at Camp Ramah, doing it every morning for many summers. So I want to thank you, Dad, for your part in organizing the program and convincing me to get up early on that Sunday morning. I know how much my father means to the Bethel Temple Men's Club, and I'm very proud of all the hard work that he has put into the group. There's a virtually endless list of reasons why you deserve this award, Dad, so I want to say congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. I actually had to ask Mom when Dad was the president of the men's club. The title just never made much of a difference. Dad has been involved at Bethel for as long as I can remember, and this did not change when Dad was no longer president. When I was growing up, my dad often left earlier on Sunday mornings to set up for men's club breakfast than my brother and I did for religious school. My brother and I left around 8:40 a.m., so Dad was leaving very early. Every Purim, Dad served burgers with the men's club during the carnival, and every Yom HaShoah, Dad packaged yellow candles with the men's club so congregants could light them in memory of lost family members. He regularly attended planning meetings, dinners, and charity events. He picked up catering orders, plaques, flowers, and many other things to get ready for whichever program was happening that week. The point is that my dad dedicated a huge amount of time and energy to ensuring all programs and events ran smoothly. He leads by example, and I'm confident that a large portion of my own Jewish involvement through high school, college, and after is based on his actions. I participated in the Bethel USY chapter all 4 years of high school, was on the board for 3 years, and was the president for 2 years. Normally I would be thanking my dad and mom for all of that driving, except that half the time they would already need to be here. Sometimes I got frustrated about planning events, and Dad would always listen to me vent. Dad often had solutions as well. I went to Brandeis University, Dad's alma mater, and I decided to participate in Jewish life there more as an active member instead of in a leadership capacity. Dad never seemed disappointed by this and supported my decisions around my Jewish involvement, which I really appreciated. Also, funny story, during senior week Shabbat, the last weekend before graduation, Brandeis Hillel honors a few students who had never held official leadership roles at Brandeis, but were deemed Jewish leaders in the community. Guess who was one of the students chosen? Though I am still currently exploring my Jewish identity, I have no doubt that I have no doubt that Dad's example, both at Bethel and at home, is highly influencing my choices. Some of my fondest childhood memories were large family meals and celebration of Jewish holidays. One day I hope to encourage my own kids to love and participate in Jewish life as well. I know that without my positive experiences provided by my parents, I would not feel so strongly about that. I also know that Dad and Mom's goal was to instill a Jewish identity in me and my brother, and I want them to know that they definitely succeeded for me.
Thank you, Jonathan and Rebecca. And now I'll call on Lonnie Schultz, Phil's wife.
Forgive me, I need a moment to recover. Thank you both, Rebecca and Jonathan, for your words and for agreeing to speak tonight. It meant a lot to me and to Dad. Okay. Congratulations, Dave Diamond. I know you worked very hard along with my husband and deserve this award. And it's an honor to be here to share with everybody who's here this evening. Many things in life require negotiation, and I've seen this over the years in my marriage. There are the big questions we've asked and negotiated. Where are we going to live? What house are we going to buy? What cars will we drive? Then there are the everyday negotiations. Who's going to walk the dog in the morning? Who gets to read bedtime stories to the kids? Some questions have very natural answers and require minimal negotiation. Who helps the kids with math homework? That would be me. I was the math major in college. Who helps the kids with their essays? This task fell to Phil, the attorney who writes for a living. And finally, in the category of questions which require, there is a category of questions which require no negotiation whatsoever. For our family, what synagogue should we join falls into this category. From our first visit to Bethel Temple, it was clear to us that this is where we wanted to belong. I don't remember when Phil attended his first men's club event, but I do remember him saying soon after that he wanted to get involved in men's club. This comment falls into the no negotiation needed category. Of course, I encouraged and supported his decision. And when Phil told me a few years later that the board wanted to elect him president, again, I encouraged and supported this decision. So you've already read and heard about Phil's contributions here. I won't repeat those. Instead, I'd like to share some random stories that give you another view of life with my husband. Like many people, Phil had a basket into which he'd throw his loose change. One day, we decided to deposit these coins in the bank, and this was long before the days of coin counting machines. Banks required that you bring in neatly rolled coins rather than a basket of loose change. So to pass the time, we watched TV while we rolled the coins. We were amused to realize we were counting our pennies while watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Phil likes to read, and he also likes to collect books. He looks for first editions and presidential biographies in particular. We joke that if he did nothing else but read for the rest of his life, he would not run out of books. His collection fills and overflows 3 large bookcases in his home office. He says he needs another bookcase. I say he needs fewer books. Phil loves honey cake. On our way home from Rosh Hashanah services one year, he told us how much he was looking forward to enjoying the honey cake we would have for dessert. He knows the story. He could hardly wait for this day each year because of the delicious honey cake on our table. When we walked in the door, we found our dog standing between an empty loaf pan and another half-eaten honey cake. Boy, did she look guilty. She'd eaten 1.5 loaves of honey cake. Of course we were angry with her, But it was really our fault for leaving the honey cakes on the dining room table. She must have climbed on a chair to reach them. Phil forgave her, but now he's careful to leave his prized desserts in the closed pantry. Phil doesn't like camping. He reached this conclusion following an ill-fated trip before we met. He and his friends arrived late to the campground and pitched the tent in the dark. When it rained and he awoke in a wet sleeping bag, Phil decided that camping was not for him. In fact, he defines camping as staying in anything less than a 4-star hotel. So, to bring my rambling collection of thoughts back to this event, I would like to point out that every Distinguished Service Award banquet is an elegant affair, much like one that would be held in a 4-star hotel. From the beginning, there have been eloquent and inspiring speakers and an entertaining master of ceremonies. The food is delicious, the award recipients are deserving, and tonight is no exception. The Distinguished Service Award Banquet is a wonderful evening that showcases the best of what the Men's Club can do. There's teamwork and camaraderie. I know Phil feels a great sense of pride and satisfaction after each successful Distinguished Service Award banquet. Phil, I'm proud of your commitment to the Men's Club and to Bethel Temple. And one more point needs no negotiation or discussion. I love you.
You come to the front door of the apartment complex. I'm in apartment 14T, and there's a panel at the door. With your elbow, push button 14T, and I'll buzz you in. Then you come upstairs in the elevator, and when you get to the front door, you hit with your elbow the button for my doorbell, and I'll come get it. The people say, "Oh, it's fine. That's great. We'll do that." But why with the elbow? She says, "You're coming to visit me empty-handed?" Okay. And this, thank God, is joke 10. So, two Japanese businessmen are talking in a sauna, and one says to the other, "This is my honorable friend. I hear your wife is dishonoring you and having relations with a Jewish man." The man says, "That cannot be. This must be a lie. I will ask her." So he goes home and he asks his wife, and he says, "This is my spouse. Tell me, this is not true. Would you ever dishonor me in such a way?" The woman says, "No, I would never do such a thing. I would never do it." And the man says, "Oh, thank God. Very, very good, very good." And the wife says, "I don't know where you get this mishigas." Yay, I'm done. Joke 10. Okay. And now I'm going to call on the co-president of the Men's Club, you've heard from him before, Steve Rabb, to formally give the presentation of the awards to both honorees. Steve.
Before giving the awards, I just want to take a second to thank Jonathan for being our MC. Excellent job. I want to thank the committee for putting the whole dinner together, which included our honorees who worked very hard, but everybody did. And now it's time for the presentation of the plaques. So the first one's going to go to David Diamond. I'm taking them in alphabetical order. And it reads, "May God bless the work of his hands, Psalm 90:17. The Men's Club of Bethel Temple presents this Distinguished Service Award to David Diamond for his many years of devoted service to Bethel Temple and the Men's Club. October 7th, 2018, 29 Tishri, 5779.
You can say a few words now. You want to do your words now?
Sure.
Sure.
Put this over here.
That's probably easier.
Probably. Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. I know it's a very busy weekend for a lot of people, and it means a lot for me to see all of you over here. First, I want to offer my congratulations to Phil. It was guys like him that really inspired me to get involved with Men's Club. Everyone hear me okay? I guess.
Raise it 2 feet.
Okay.
I don't know how to move it, Eddie.
Okay. I mean,
Project.
Phil's passion and dedication was obvious to me, from the very beginning. And he did so much in accomplishing things, all for the entire Bethel community. And as people have mentioned, Phil took our men's club to the next level with the FJMC affiliation and bringing some of their programs that have now become part of our routine. But he also did a lot of hands-on work, and I just want to share a brief true story about Phil. It goes back to a program we had about 10 years ago. It was a Sunday morning breakfast, and there were 4 of us in the kitchen, getting the food ready. We knew we had to set up, and somebody had to work registration. And all of a sudden, 3 of us were asked to attend Minion. So first 3 of us run to Minion. I was one of them. And Phil was left in the kitchen. Remember that? And he had to do everything, cutting the locks and moving the food and what have you. After Minion, we go into the community room and everything is set up perfectly. Phil's at registration, checking people in, and he was able to do it. He later said he felt like walking out the door, but he didn't. And I echo all the things that have been said about Joe. It was my pleasure and privilege to work closely with him for over 10 years. He was there for virtually every program, did so much. And I think to say that Joe was such a nice guy is an understatement. From the time I met him, I really liked him, in spite of him wearing a New York Yankees yarmulke. You see, Joe grew up in Fresh Meadow, Queens. He could practically walk to Shea Stadium, and I used to joke with him that he was rooting for the wrong team. But Joe was somebody that always had a smile, always kept a sense of humor, and the only time I ever saw him a little bit excited was when someone would come to a program without RSVPing and try to sneak in. And Joe would grab me by the arm and say, "Dave, he didn't pay. You got to do something for him." I really do miss Joe very much. When we joined Bethel nearly 20 years ago, I couldn't have imagined I'd be standing here today. What we really wanted was to join a temple to provide a meaningful Jewish experience for our kids. So I looked at it as a 10-year commitment. But something happened along the way. I started attending men's club breakfasts mainly because I didn't feel like taking 2 round trips over Avon Mountain on a Sunday morning, and I knew I could stay at temple, enjoy a good breakfast, listen to a speaker, and meet new people. And after a while, I started getting more involved, and one day I was asked to be president, and I felt very reluctant. I honestly felt that I was totally unqualified for it, so I said yes. And then right afterwards, it's like, what did I get myself into? But the entire men's club board assured me that I'd have their support, they would help me, and they stuck to their promise. And it's like with the support of the entire men's club board, I made sure that things got done, and over time I started with the collaborations with all the arms of the temple. And when I think back at some of the best programs we had, I have to think about some of our collaborations with Sisterhood when Sharon Levine Sheen was president, and High Society with Roz Racklin. We'd have programs on a Sunday morning that would get 125 to 150 people here. And Roz and I would call it an elegant brunch program. What made it elegant wasn't the whitefish salad and the lox and the herring and all that, but it was the mimosas that we would serve. Roz insisted, right? Remember that? So it's really been a great experience, and but I really feel with everything that's been accomplished with the men's club over the years, I really have everyone to thank. The men's club board, all the programming arms of Bethel, and also the other Jewish organizations and men's clubs in the community that we had a lot of programs with. And I certainly want to thank the entire Bethel professional staff, the office staff, and the custodial staff, because without them, we couldn't have done what we wanted. Men's club kept them all very busy over the years. So most of all, I want to thank my wife Sheila for all of her support, and of course, my kids Mara, who's here, and Andrew, who you saw earlier. You know, very often after a long day of work, I'd come home, I'd be on the computer for hours doing men's club stuff, and they'd always say, "What's there to do?" And I go, "There's a lot going on." And you know, every once in a while, when I'd get a phone call at 11 p.m., it was either Roz or maybe Marty Melnick. They knew it would be a long conversation because there was men's club stuff to talk about. And you know, and then as Eliane pointed out earlier, you know, it's like we had a lot of nice discussions, usually at the end of some program. And I think one of my favorite programs was the one that we orchestrated, where we, you know, we arranged for Rich's donor to meet him, you know, who saved his life, and that was really an amazing program. So this has really been a great experience for me and my family, and you know, this is our 20th year here, and you know, it's like no signs of us going anywhere. So again, thank you all for coming, and you know, thank you all for your nice remarks, and thanks, Jonathan, for your nice remarks and not embarrassing me too much.
And now Steve will present the award to Phil Schultz. I'm not going to forget to give you your award. You may remember when you got your Keeper of the Flame award, I was the MC. Hang on a second. And we had two honorees, Phil Schultz and Phil Schlischel. So I introduced one, he got his award, sat down, I looked at my script, immediately jumped to closing remarks and missed the other. I think the other Phil was the one I missed, and everybody said, "Nyeh." So I'm not going to miss you, Phil. Your award reads, "May God bless the work of his hands." Psalm 90:17. The Men's Club of Bethel Temple presents this Distinguished Service Award to Philip Schultz for his many years of devoted service to Bethel Temple and the Men's Club. October 7th, 2018, 29 Tishri, 5779.
It's nice to go last because nobody can contradict what you say. So it certainly is. Here we go. It certainly is humbling to receive this award, particularly after so many years of begging, cajoling, lobbying every member of the men's club for this honor. Finally, it occurred to me that spreading around some cash would do the trick. So here I am, a little poorer, but basking in the glory of finally having joined the pantheon of Bethel greatness. All of which, of course, is total nonsense. Bruce Sheen, a prior honoree, and I had an argument this morning while doing the flower arrangements over which of us was more reluctant to be honored. When this awards dinner was first conceived, the idea was to honor people who have made important and lasting contributions to the temple and or to the men's club, and to have a fun party to celebrate those people in their service. It was never our intention that that this event would be about us. So I can certainly relate to those people who've declined to be honored, some of them in this room this evening, because they're either too humble or too shy, or who simply preferred that their contributions be made quietly and with little fanfare. Problem is that we can't hold an awards dinner without an honoree. So when the banquet committee offers you the opportunity of being honored, please bite the bullet and say yes, for our sake, if not for yours. I'm very grateful to all of you who have come out here to share this evening with Dave and I. I'm deeply touched by those of you who've stood up here and said kind remarks about me. The time I've devoted to the men's club over the last 19 years has been worthwhile and rewarding because I've had the opportunity to meet and become friends with so many wonderful guys who feel strongly about the value of synagogue life and who enjoy being Jewish together. As Rabbi Rosen said during one of his high holiday sermons, Judaism was always intended to be practiced as a community with a shared history, values, and traditions. The men who participate in men's club activities have always believed this. So the time and effort that I have devoted to the men's club and its activities has been repaid to me many times over in joy and satisfaction. During most of the 19 years that I've been involved with Men's Club, I've been the guy who have made the lox platters for our Sunday breakfast meetings. I've returned home from breakfast meetings with locks on my shoes and in the cuffs of my pants. The dog is always especially affectionate when I come home from these meetings. When I think of all the salmon, smoked, poached, and grilled, that have given their lives so that the Men's Club could thrive, I'm tempted to call for a moment of silence in honor of their sacrifice. No one knew this better than Joe Springett, Men's Club Vice President and House Manager. To him, I was the locksman, and to me, he was the Eggman. Joe had a wonderful knack for bringing joy to any room he entered and lifting the spirits of those he met. Those are qualities that few people possess. Joe was a great guy and dedicated to the Men's Club. Honey Sue, I think I can speak for everyone here this evening in saying that we love Joe, we miss him, and we won't forget him. Dave Diamond has made an enormous contribution to the Men's Club through the years. The number of quality programs he has brought to the board year after year is staggering. He is a publicity dynamo. His energy for tasks large and small seems limitless. The recognition our Men's Club has received from the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs in the form of honors and awards are largely due to Dave's efforts. Dave's stamina and dedication alone would have been enough of a contribution to the club, but those qualities are just the tip of the iceberg. Dave's sound judgment, his eye for detail, his enthusiasm, and his quiet diplomacy have made him indispensable to the club and to the temple. In short, no one in the Men's Club and few in the temple deserves a Distinguished Service Award more than Dave Diamond. I'd like to recognize the Men's Club board members whose hard work has made this awards dinner successful year after year. The full board is listed in the program, and they all help, but special thanks are owed to Bruce Sheen, to Dave Diamond, and Jacob Covell, who have spent countless hours working to ensure that every aspect of this event is done properly and with a little panache. Co-President Steve Rabb deserves special recognition for his efforts to work effectively with other arms of the temple, including the clergy, the administrative staff, and the temple's board. Steve was co-president back in 2004-05 with me. Steve's return as a co-president has breathed new life into a board that has been running on fumes for many years. Thanks to Rabbi Rosen for his support of the Men's Club for all these years. His wise counsel, patience, and sense of humor have been indispensable in making our program successful. Special thanks to Temple President and MC extraordinaire Jonathan Alter for making these dinners so much fun for the last several years. I'm delighted that my children Jonathan and Rebecca are here this evening. Last May, Jonathan graduated from the School of Information Science at Syracuse. On Wednesday, he starts his first job as a data engineer for Fidelity Investments. I think our retirement accounts will be in good hands with Jonathan on that team. Rebecca, who has been a paralegal at a Washington, D.C. law firm for the last few years, has just begun graduate school at George Washington University's School of Public Health, where she plans to study epidemiology. Rebecca, I have an idea for a research project, and I've even come up with the title of the paper: Morbidity Associated with Chronic Exposure to Lox Fumes. Your mother and I are very proud of both of you, not only for what you have and will accomplish, but even more so for the terrific young adults you have become. Which brings me to Lonnie, the love of my life, who puts up with my moods and forgives me my excesses. She's been a silent partner of the Men's Club by giving me advice that has benefited me, the club, and the temple. Ours is a partnership that has thrived for nearly 30 years, and I fully expect it will endure for many years to come. I'd also like to thank my dad, Martin Schultz, who has always supported me in everything I have done, and who has always emphasized to me and my sister Cheryl and Lori the importance and value of family. Finally, just a few people that I need to recognize before I conclude. First, I just want to mention a shout out to the two Martys, Marty Toyin, who along with Harley Graham got me interested in the Men's Club in the first place, and Marty Melnick, whose passion for Men's Club has kept me involved for so long. The following friends and colleagues who are honoring me with their presence this evening, and I'd like to mention who they are. They include my favorite sister-in-law, Jordana Zubkov, who flew in from Virginia this weekend. She's not only my favorite sister-in-law, she's also my only sister-in-law. My dear friends from Boston, Alan Cohen and Jane Alpert, thank you for coming. And my colleagues from the Attorney General's office, Lisa Weiss, Frank Fignani, and Tom Clifford, three of the finest attorneys in state government who've devoted decades of their professional lives to the public service and who have made me look good every day for many years. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Don't forget your... I always say we are here to love and be loved. And we are a community here at Bethel. And what better way to celebrate our community than to celebrate acts of love and kindness, something the world so desperately needs. Thank you all so much for coming. Please, one more time, a big round of applause for everyone. Honored. And have a safe ride home.